did you find your love of music? Like, were you a little kid? Did you come from a musical family?
Music has always been a part of my life. I mean, I always knew I would be a musician.
Wow.
And so when I started playing the drums at the age of 4. My parents bought me my first drum set, and every year they bought me a new instrument. So I learned to play the piano, and then the saxophone, and the guitars, and the clarinet, and then the trumpet, and the trombone. And so I always knew this is what I was going to do. The question was, what instrument am I going to play? Because I play a lot of them.
Yeah.
But piano has always just been kind of something that's been in my heart.
So I grew up in a sports family. So I, as a kid, didn't really do much art. But my dad, when I found out later, when he was younger, he liked photography, and he is also really good at drawing. So when I started showing interest in photography, he's the one who gave me my first camera and kind of pushed me to like try it.
I was born in Taiwan, but I moved to North America when I was about 9 months old. My father came to get an advanced degree in the sciences. He played the violin a little bit himself. So I think I next gravitated towards the violin because I wanted to be like Daddy. And my parents then got me violin lessons.
The original Velvelettes. Okay, so tell me where this snowstorm and this trip from Kalamazoo to Detroit, how did that happen?
Well, we begged my dad. My dad is a Baptist preacher, and he was a baker and a Baptist preacher. So, and then a full-time father to 7 children. So it was difficult to get on his schedule, and he had to prearrange everything. And we would come in begging him almost every day. We would beg, Daddy, are you going to take us to Detroit? And blah, blah, blah. So one day he came in and he just told my mom, Dora, I'm going to take those girls to Detroit this Saturday so they can audition.
I am a classical musician because my parents were very avid supporters of all arts. And I was very regularly steeped in those communities and those experiences. And that added to my knowledge and my desire to continue doing that.
I was born in Belgrade, Serbia, which is part of the former Yugoslavia. And I'm one of those stories that I grew up in a musical family. My father was a cellist and my first teacher for many years. My mom plays piano. My older sister is a professional violinist. So we were kind of a loud family, you can say.
That day, that Saturday, the weather report was very, very grim. It was like going to be a snowstorm, and it was icy. And my mother said, you shouldn't go. You shouldn't go. He said, no, I'm going. We're going to go now. He says, because we're going to go, because I've been putting this off for, weeks and weeks. It took 5 hours for us to get from Kalamazoo to Detroit. And that's when I-94 was just 2 lanes. We finally made it there. Now, you would think that the name on the signage on the building would be Motown. But Bertha, what you have something to say about that?
That's right. I was the very first one, I think, that saw that sign. And it had Hitsville, USA. But I was sort of kind of mused that one of the letters was a little crooked or whatever, but it still read Hitsville, USA, but it wasn't Motown. So we were like, I guess this is the place.
I'm the oldest child of my parents' 5. So they were pretty young and fun when I was a baby, and they would take me around to all their activities. One of the things they loved to do was architectural tours. So we were on one of those in Boston and walked into this massive, beautiful marble bank, and there was a harpist there. And my impression, you always wonder about memory, if your little child mind memory is accurate, but this is what I remember. And I just remember this big, beautiful floor and this huge instrument and this big dress and this glorious sound. And it was awe-inspiring. And I guess I just didn't stop talking about it until they gave me harp lessons for my 8th birthday.
So that happened at what age?
I think I was 3.
Wow. And so you must have it must have been something that stuck with them 5 years later.
So when we went in, there was the secretary that was sitting behind the desk. I think she was chewing her gum and really super long fingernails. I mean, just anyway. So we were very excited about being there. And she said, "May I help you?" And we said, "Yeah, we came to an audition for Motown." And she says, real quickly and sort of curt, she said, "Well, I'm sorry, we don't have auditions on Saturdays." And we said, "But we came in a snowstorm. It took us about 5 hours to get here. Can you please make an exception?" Oh, remember, Cal, she asked us where we were from.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd forgotten that. She said, "Where are you girls from?" And we said, "Kalamazoo." And she goes, "Kalamazoo?" And I meant, so we just really very saddened, very hurt. And we said, "You know what? Maybe it was not meant for us to do this." Yeah. So we really, some of us even had tears in our eyes, and we said, "Let's just go back home," you know? And I tell you, and this is the honest to goodness true story, just as we got to the door to go back to Kalamazoo, the recording studio door opened and a gentleman walked out. And who should it be? Mickey Stevenson. He was our producer for the Barbies in Flint. He came out of that recording studio door at the right time, and he recognized Norma and myself. And Norma, Bertha, what are you doing here? And we said, "Hey, Mickey, we're here to audition." We said, "You're in a group?"
This is my girls group, and we're here to audition.
That's right. That's right. And he said, "Well, you know, why don't you come in?" or something like that. We said, "Well, this young lady told us that we couldn't have auditions on Saturdays." Oh, and man, at that moment, he looked at that young lady and just said, "They're coming in." And boy, you should have seen us just made an about turn, and we walked past her. And I have
with
to
our
say
noses in the air.
We did put our noses in the air a little bit.
We really wanted to do that, you know.
And you know, and people, when they hear this story, they say, being at the right place at the right time. It's not what you know, who you know.
And especially when I came to US, I started trying to bring my mom to visit, you know, once a year, once every 2 years. And then it would really be a waste if we don't play a concert together, because we played together when I was a little boy, but also it's really great to be able to collaborate now when I'm, you know, fully developed musician, I would say. So yeah, we try to play once a year, every 2 years.
And the other thing too is Berry Gordy's father, we called him Pop Gordy. When we first went to Motown, as Cal remembers too, we would see him sometimes with a hammer in his hand.
Pops Gordy would go around and he'd have his little, you know, worker's belt on, whatever you call that, shop belt. And he would go around and repair things, woodwork, something, some picture may be lopsided on the wall, or he was just there to help his son and the business.
The family again.
Support for Kalamazoo Lively Arts is provided by the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation, helping to build and enrich the cultural life of Greater Kalamazoo.